Today on the Gold Standard.
If you put 100K in cash in a bank account 20 years ago, today you would have roughly probably around 103,000. But Dave, in reality, how much would that buy versus what it would buy 20 years ago? That 100,000 maybe only might buy half, maybe 40 or $50,000 worth of stuff. As we've seen prices increase, we've seen the purchasing power of our money disappear, and it's only getting worse. If you put $100,000 in gold 20 years ago, you would have $400,000 or $500,000 worth of gold.
This is the Gold Standard from Midas Gold Group with Kenneth Russo. Hello, I'm Dave Dino. Welcome to the Gold Standard, your source for secure investment opinion and information on the advantages of purchasing and owning precious metals. Whether you're a novice investor or an experienced collector, this is the program that gives you a realistic weekly perspective on the state of the economy, reliable information about using precious metals such as gold, silver, and platinum to safeguard your wealth, and remarkable details about specific precious metal coins and bullion. Ken Russo is a senior vice president at Midas Gold Group, and his peers characterize him as a straight shooter who will work harder for you than anyone else. Ken, it is, as usual, a pleasure to join you again this week.
It's a pleasure to join you and everybody out there this week, Dave. Thank you.
Our topic today is the U.S. dollar, a guaranteed loser. And I want to assure our listeners that this is not a program intended to bash America or the American dream. It is, however, a wake-up call about the serious danger facing your financial security. We're sounding a warning from atop the walls of the city, so to speak. And so, Ken, let's begin with a look at some of the news from the economy. I ran across an article this week with the Stop You in Your Tracks title, A Gold Storm is Coming. It stated in part that in just the past few weeks, a number of strange events have begun to play out in the world. 50% of employers expect to lay off workers in the next 12 months. 20 million American households are late on their utility bills, and insiders are selling stocks faster than they have in months. And then to make matters worse, experts are warning an unprecedented global food crisis is emerging. Ken, your thoughts?
Well, obviously, Dave, that's what we've been talking about for a very long time, and we're realists, and together all of this, Dave, has the strong possibility of setting up what some are calling a gold storm. I would just call it common sense. And I don't know how many times we have to talk about it. You just can't print money out of thin air indefinitely. The dollar is a dumpster fire. We could have said the U.S. dollar a dumpster fire. But it's like all paper currencies that are backed by nothing. But you may characterize this right now as the early stages of a mania. Now, I would not recommend that people try to own gold because it's not a get-rich scheme. But there's some pretty significant evidence that gold's been money, well, for 3,000 years. And there's some pretty significant evidence since 1971 that the dollar has lost most of its purchasing power against gold. And we're going to get into that a little bit. But even the most prepared Americans, Dave, including many retirees, they're going to more than likely be blindsided by about what's going to happen. The last 40 years, we've had abnormally low interest rates, and we've had this change. We've changed since March, April, and it's all due to unlimited money printing and abnormally low interest rates for close to 40 years. It's changed. It's the end of the cycle, and people really do need to make adjustments. And the bottom line is the value of currency could show a decided decline over the next few years for sure, just like it has since 1971 pretty consistently. There are little bouts of strength of in paper from once in a while, but all in all, the trend is always it's going to buy less in the future. How many times have we said that, Dave? I mean, the dollar's going to buy less in the future. The dollar is going to go down in value in the future. The dollar is going to lose your purchasing power over and over and over again until people probably said, well, here's Ken again, same old, same old. But gold more than likely will be going up to record highs very soon. We see gold by at least $2,000 an ounce, possibly by the end of the year, maybe the beginning part of next year. And by 2030, Dave, 2028, 2030, I think gold has the potential to reach at least $10,000 per ounce.
Wow.
Now, The reason why, Dave, is because our paper money and all of the paper monies of the world are exactly that, guaranteed losers. They are backed by nothing. They're going to print more money, trillions of dollars more, tens of trillions of dollars more over the next few years to try to patch together this bubble that is going to burst. It's leaking right now, big time. It's not because of COVID. It's not because of Putin. It's because we've had horrible fiscal policy and monetary policy by our central bankers, and our politicians for the last 35 to 40 years. And it's coming home to roost, Dave. And we've been talking about that for a long time. This is an everything bubble in stocks, bonds, and real estate, and in our paper money, and it is going to burst.
Our topic today is the U.S. dollar, a guaranteed loser. And let's dig into the issue of fiat currency. First, tell me more about what that term means and what you can actually compare it to.
Well, that's a very important question, Dave. But remember, back in 1933, President Roosevelt asked everybody to turn in their gold. They needed more gold to back paper money to give themselves, the government that is, permission to print more money. They needed to print more paper money. And at that time, our money was backed by gold. I'm sure people remember the old gold certificates where you could actually go to the bank and transact in either gold or paper.
Mm-hmm.
That started this whole change with the 1913 formation of the Federal Reserve Bank. Up to 1971, silver and gold were somewhat a smaller part of our money, of our dollar. But in 1971, Richard Nixon ended the gold standard completely for the good of the dollar, and yes, temporarily, and 51 years later, was still on the elimination of the gold standard. But at that point, Dave, they started the fiat currency experiment, where all of the currencies of the world, including the US dollar, became total fiat, which means that it's now backed by nothing. It's a currency, just like the other currencies of the world. They're not backed by any physical commodity like gold, like we used to be. It's only backed by debt, and the debt of the world will never be repaid back. We don't even have the money to pay the interest, Dave, on any of these loans. And as interest rates rise significantly here since March, this is getting to be a real big problem, as we just talked about. So, in a nutshell, without being too long-winded, 1971 started the fiat currency experience, where these fiat currencies could just float against in value against one another, the dollar, the pound, the yen, and so on. And they're all toxic. All the fiat currencies of the world are basically worthless. We'll see that going forward as our money continues to buy less and less and less. We could have called this show, Dave, Fiat Dollars or Fiat Money of the World, all worthless and guaranteed losers. I mean, that's basically where we're at. So you just can't print money out of thin air indefinitely. The whole world's doing it. It's a contagion. It's a system that's addicted to money printing and debt. And for your money, folks, and for your wealth, it's going to end very badly unless you do something about it. And that's where gold comes in, diversification. And it's a way, it's always been a way, Dave, to preserve your wealth. And today it's more important than ever.
A reminder here that you are listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. And our topic today is the U.S. dollar, a guaranteed loser. Ken, let's make this very real. Let's say I put $100,000 into a savings account 20 years ago. What would that be worth today?
That's a great way to look at it, Dave. That's exactly what I want people to think about. We're not talking about the best speculative stock in the world or the best speculative investment. We're talking about our money. And let's talk about gold as money, and let's talk about our paper, which obviously is our current form of money for living expenses. But if you put 100K in cash in a bank account 20 years ago, today you would have roughly probably around 103,000, give or take, based on all of the interest that you would have received over the last 20 years. But Dave, in reality, how much would that buy versus what it would buy 20 years ago? That 100,000 maybe only might buy half, maybe 40 or $50,000 worth of stuff. As we've seen prices increase, we've seen the purchasing power of our money disappear, and it's only getting worse. So basically, you would have lost half of your savings in real buying power. On the other hand, Dave, if you put $100,000 in gold 20 years ago, you would have $400,000 or $500,000 worth of gold. So,
Wow.
that's a big dramatic difference, Dave, in one form of money continuously being a loser when it comes to your purchasing power. And then there's a big difference in the other form of money, like physical, tangible gold that you could actually hold on to. You don't even have to keep it at the bank. You could hold on to it yourself, but it typically has always increased your purchasing power over time. And I would expect that to be no different over the next 5 or 10 years while everybody is scrambling, trying to protect whatever they can. People who own gold, Dave, will be able to hide in a place that's safe and secure. It will give them all the benefits of gold that gold has always provided.
We're going to continue our topic, the U.S. dollar, a guaranteed loser, a little bit later in the program. And we'll highlight several other tangible ways to convert your wealth into the security of gold. But first, a reminder that you are listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. And coming up, we're going to look at a specific precious metal that you can use to safeguard your wealth. And that's coming up right after this.
Smash and Gorka here. More than ever, it's critical to convert your cash savings and a good portion of your investments into gold with the only gold company I recommend, Midas Gold Group. Why? Because those pulling the strings behind the Biden administration want to know everything about your finances. They had Biden sign an executive order preparing for a digital currency. Midas Gold Group sees tyrannical implications, especially for MAGA supporters. Digital currency will record all your financial transactions, with 87,000 new IRS agents able to monitor your accounts. So I recommend calling veteran-owned Midas Gold Group to safeguard your wealth with physical gold before it's too late. Gold is private and traditionally holds its value when economies crash. Protect yourself and your family. Go to MidasGoldGroup.com or call 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-GOLD. It's gold you can hold. Call 855-322-GOLD.
And we're back with more of The Gold Standard, brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Ken Russo. I'm Dave Dino, and our topic today is the U.S. dollar, a guaranteed loser. By the way, if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, we encourage you to come and visit our local office to meet with us in person. For the address and directions, just log on to our website, MidasGoldGroup.com. MIDAS, MidasGoldGroup.com. For those of you listening in other cities, call us directly at 855-322-GOLD. 855-322-GOLD. By the numbers 855-322-4653. Now, it's time for one of my favorite portions of the program, and that is our featured precious metal product of the week. Today, let's talk about a gold coin that we have never highlighted, the Big 5 Elephant Gold Coin. Tell us about this, Ken.
Real neat coin, Dave. I saw it for the first time about a month ago. It's the same mint as the Cougarand, which is the South African mint. And Dave, the 1 ounce Big 5 Elephant Gold Coin is the first in a new successful series of bullion coins. This particular coin, though, Dave, is 24 karat gold, much different than the browner looking Cougarand. So a real nice coin, real new, real exciting. I'm glad we're covering it this week.
Why is it called the Big 5?
Well, the Big 5, Dave, used to mean Africa's most dangerous animals to hunt. As the project developed, the program organizers wanted to shift the focus to celebrating Africa's wildlife. So actually, the Big 5 is a tribute to those who protect these endangered animals. The Big 5 are the elephant, the lion, the rhinoceros, the leopard, and the Cape buffalo. And the popularity, Dave, of the Big 5 coin program draws attention to the plight of these endangered species and is a reminder to do more for conservation. The series is released in stages every 6 months and is available also in platinum as well as gold and silver.
Can you give us maybe a visual description of one of the coins?
If you look at the Big 5 Elephant coin, 2019, the mintage has been very, very low, actually only around 500. So that would have basically made it impossible to get. So this year, which is great, they're making it more available. Our first batch that we had completely sold out in one day. So, but we are getting more as we speak. If not, we'll look at other coins that are available. But the premier edition of this landmark series is it's striking, Dave, in all aspects. I love just by looking at it myself. I mean, I'm not a coin expert, but I love the color and I love the appearance of it. It reminds me a little bit of a gold buffalo in a way. It has a portrait of a savanna elephant on the obverse or the head side of the coin, Dave. The composition is framed by encircling horns, which direct our attention to the South African coat of arms. The designer, R.C. Stone, created a very interesting and unique reverse layout, Dave, depicting the partial heads of two elephants crowded next to each other. The two elephants seem to overtake the reverse of the coin, and the design itself works on multiple levels. It reminds us that more room is needed for the elephants, and it serves as a piece of a larger puzzle. The two halves of the elephant's face are meant to form one elephant when two or more coins are placed together. It's a great idea, very, very crafty. An entire herd of elephants forms when multiple coins are placed next to each other, Dave. So it's a very unique coin. It will add extra value to any collection. But listen, we're not looking to make people collectors, Dave, as you know. We're just solely looking for a way for clients to have something that is going to retain its value over the next 5 or 10 years while our US dollar, the guaranteed loser, implodes and continues to lose tremendous, tremendous value as it's reset. Who knows what it'll be worth? Who knows what it'll buy 5 or 10 years from now? And the gold South African elephant, Dave, is one coin that will protect investors from losing most of their wealth when all of this other stuff comes apart.
And it is one that I have added to my collection, so thank you, Ken, for that. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to continue our topic of the U.S. dollar, a guaranteed loser, with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. And that's coming up right after this.
Sebastian Gorka here, urging you to consider converting your cash savings and a good portion of your investments into gold with the Midas Gold Group. Because if you're a conservative or MAGA supporter, the rhetoric coming from the acting president is appalling. Biden has called companies and individuals who support MAGA policies extremists and semi-fascists. And it's only a matter of time before the administration controls our finances with digital currency. Biden already signed an executive order preparing for digital currency with 87,000 new IRS agents who can monitor our every transaction. I recommend calling veteran-owned Midas Gold Group to safeguard your wealth with physical gold before it's too late. Gold is private and traditionally holds its value when economies crash. Go to MidasGoldGroup.com or call them at 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-GOLD. It's gold you can hold. 855-322-GOLD. Call today.
And we're back with more of The Gold Standard, brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Ken Russo. I'm Dave Dino, and our topic today is the U.S. dollar, a guaranteed loser. Now, if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, you have a real advantage because you can actually come and visit our local office to meet with us in person, actually see some of the product that we talk about here on the air. For the address and directions, just log on to our website, MidasGoldGroup.com. MIDAS, MidasGoldGroup.com. For those of you listening in other cities, just call us directly at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD, by the numbers 855-322-4653. Now, let's return to our topic. Ken, we have some listeners who are very knowledgeable about precious metals, but probably even more who have never been educated about the advantages of owning gold and silver. So it can be a bit scary for them to pick up the phone and call you. What can you say to reassure them that before they ever make a precious metals buying decision, that they'll have all the facts they need to have confidence in their choice?
I would just really encourage people to try and make that first step to try and develop a relationship with proven people like Midas Gold Group. We're a veteran-owned gold and silver dealer. We fought for freedom. Now we fight for financial survival. We are very, very worried about what is going on with the financial system as a whole. But I would just ask people to use their common sense. And I would ask them to do things that seem sensible. And when you look at paper money, that is printed out of thin air. Money's just given away, stimulus, and it's just a bunch of excuses and lies why we're doing all this. And you just can't spend to infinity. You just can't print money out of thin air to infinity. It's all debt. It's all just paper. It's all just imaginary. It's fake. The problem is that when there's an issue in the market and an issue in the financial system, and when there's an issue in the banking system, like a crisis, this stuff is going to get real quick. It's going to become real evident, real relevant, real fast, and it's going to be too late for anybody to do anything about it. So now's the time. People can diversify. They can take some money out of the banking system or out of the markets, Dave, and they can do it with Midas Gold Group. We'll educate our clients about what's going on with gold and what's going on with being diversified, and how could you possibly get some risk out of the situation? Because right now, Dave, I mean, how many times have we said it? The risk of the markets is at an all-time high.
A reminder here that you're listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. And today our topic is the U.S. dollar, a guaranteed loser. Ken, I've got one final question for you today. Because of elections and political rhetoric around the economy, from your years of experience, does one party have a better idea for fixing our economy and restoring the value of the American dollar?
I have to be honest with you, Dave. The damage is already done. And this is a whole banking system globally, and it's all interconnected. When it comes to our money, the trend, no matter who's been in office over time, is our debt here in the United States doubles every 8 years since 1971. The price of gold doubles every 7 years since 1971. But I would just say, yes, for our nation and for our feelings and for our leadership, of course it makes a difference. But for our financial system and our money, unfortunately, whoever comes in, their only solution is going to be to print more money and spend more money too. And unfortunately, that means that our dollar will continue to be a guaranteed loser still. And no matter who comes in, unfortunately, this system will eventually implode. So the reason of this show, Dave, is to tell people that it's still not too late. You can still do something about your situation. You don't have to lose all of your money when the system and then when the markets come apart. And because of what's happened for the last 40 years, money printing, fiat money, our US dollar, like all these other fiat currencies, which are all trash, this is all going to end the same way. But that doesn't mean that you have to be financially destroyed as this all comes apart. And gold will be, just like it's always been, the way to survive financially from a financial collapse, a banking crisis, and actually a dollar collapse. That's the reason why, Dave, we have gold.
And I'll say it again, that is why I have moved a good portion of my savings and my investments over to physical gold and into a gold IRA with the guidance of you there at Midas Gold Group. I feel like my family is a lot more secure financially because of it. So, Ken, thank you so much. And that's going to bring us to the end of our time together here on The Gold Standard with Ken Russo, brought to you by Midas Gold Group. A reminder, opinions given here are not intended to be specific to your investment strategy, but rather general information to give you a better understanding of investing in precious metals. For answers to your questions, call Midas Gold Group at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. By the numbers 855-322-4653. And the website is MidasGoldGroup.com, MIDAS, MidasGoldGroup.com. As Ken mentioned earlier, the Midas Gold Group is proud to be America's #1 veteran-owned gold dealer, supporting veterans' causes with a portion of profits donated to the Wounded Warriors Project and the Semper Fi Fund. So your investment in your future is also an investment in the future of those who have bravely served the cause of freedom. Again, the number to call to speak directly with Midas Gold Group is 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. Ken, thank you again for your time today.
You're welcome, Dave. Talk to you soon.
I look forward to it. I'm Dave Dino. Come and join us again next week at this same time for another edition of The Gold Standard.
The Gold Standard was brought to you by the Midas Gold Group.